فطر الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته وودد بالصخور ميدان أرضه، ثم الصلاة والسلام على العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وآله الطيبين الطاهرين وصحبه المنتجبين. اللهم صل على محمد. عباد الله، أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله. اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. أما بعد، وإن يكاد الذين كفروا ليزلقونك بأبصارهم لما سمعوا الذكر ويقولون إنه لمجنون وما هو إلا ذكر للعالمين. قد ذهب كثير من المفسرين إلى أن معنى الإزلاق بالأبصار في هذه الآية هو إشارة إلى إمكانية إصابة الإنسان بالعين. فقوله تعالى ليزلقونك بأبصارهم خطابا إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وآله، يعني إن أهل مكة كانوا ينظرون إلى النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام وكانوا يريدون أن يقتلوه بسهم الأعين بنظراتهم الخبيثة الغاضبة الحاسدة. ومن هنا كثير من أصحاب التفسير والحديث قالوا أن هذه الآية نزلت عندما سأل الكفار رجلا من بني أسد وهو معروف بالعين أن يصيب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله بعينه، فعصم الله نبيه من شر العين وأنزل هذه الآية. فلا يرون هؤلاء إشكالا في إمكانية الإصابة بالعين حتى علميا، بدعوى أنها غير مرئية أو أنه لا صلة بين العائن والمعيون، وهم يستدلون بتأثير أشعة إكس وهي غير مرئية ولكن تنفذ إلى داخل الأجسام، فيمكن أن تؤثر موجات العين في الشخص المعيون والمحسود. وجاء في تفسير ابن كثير في ذيل هذه الآية أن جبرائيل أتى النبي صلى الله عليه وآله فرآه مغتما فقال يا محمد ما هذا الغم الذي أراه في وجهك؟ فأجاب عليه الصلاة والسلام إن الحسن والحسين أصابتهما عين. قال صدق بالعين إن العين حق، أفلا عوذتهما بهؤلاء الكلمات؟ قال صلى الله عليه وآله وما هن يا جبرائيل؟ قال قل اللهم ذا السلطان العظيم والمن القديم والوجه الكريم وولي الكلمات التامات والدعوات المستجابات، عاف الحسن والحسين من أنفس الجن وأعين الناس. فقال الرسول صلى الله عليه وآله هذا الدعاء، فقام يلعبان بين يده، فقال صلى الله عليه وآله: عوذوا أنفسكم ونساءكم وأولادكم بهذا التعويذ، فإنه لم يتعوذ المتعوذون بمثله. وهناك تأكيدات في الأحاديث النبوية على قراءة بعض الأدعية لدفع العين ولفك السحر والحسد ولشفاء المرضى، ومنها قراءة سورة الحمد، وهي أعظم سورة في كتاب الله. قال أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام: لو شئت لأوقرت 70 بعيرا في تفسير فاتحة الكتاب. وأكدوا على قراءة آية الكرسي، وهي أعظم آية في كتاب الله، وقراءة المعوذات سورة الإخلاص والناس والفلق. والقرآن كله شفاء، وننزل من القرآن ما هو شفاء ورحمة للمؤمنين، كما أن الله يحفظ المؤمنين من الشرور عن طريق التعوذ به سبحانه وتعالى: وإن تصبروا وتتقوا لا يضركم كيدهم شيئا. ويحفظهم عن طريق التوكل بالله: ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه. ويحفظهم عن طريق الإخلاص لله سبحانه وتعالى كذلك، لنصرف عنه السوء والفحشاء، إنه من عبادنا المخلصين. كما يحفظ الله المؤمنين من أنواع الشرور من طريق الصدقات والمبرات: وداووا مرضاكم بالصدقات. فنقرأ الدعاء ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى الشفاء لكل المرضى، وخاصة المرضى لهذا الفيروس الخبيث كورونا، لشفاء كل الإخوة والأخوات، وخاصة شفاء أخ من إخواننا من الأسرة المحترمة من الجالية العراقية، طلبوا الدعاء لشفائه، وهو في معاناة من هذا المرض. اللهم لا إله إلا أنت العلي العظيم ذو السلطان القديم والمن العظيم والوجه الكريم. اللهم اشف مرضانا، وخاصة هذا الأخ بشفائك. اللهم داوهم بدوائك، اللهم عافهم من بلائك، بحق محمد وآل محمد. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي، يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره، ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له، ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأن محمدًا عبده ورسوله، أكرمه بالنبوة وجعله رحمة للعالمين. اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك بحافظ سرك بمبلغ رسالاتك وصلى على وصيه وأخيه أمير المؤمنين وعلى الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، وصلى على سبتي الرحمة الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة، وصلى على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف القائم المهدي حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا سقما إلا شفيته، ولا عيبا إلا سترته، ولا رزقا إلا بسطته، ولا خوفا إلا أمنته، ولا سوءا إلا صرفته، ولا حاجة هي لك رضا ولي فيها صلاح إلا غديتها يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
The subject of Thanksgiving. Yesterday, Thanksgiving was celebrated all over this country, not the way it was celebrated last year and previous years, but many families in their homes, they had dinner together. This is a tradition for the last 400 years in this country. The first time it happened in 1621, when the colonists, they shared food with the Indian community. And later on in 1789, President Washington, he designated that day as a day of prayer and praising the Lord because of his favor to the nation. 74 years later, in 1863, in the middle of civil war in this country, Abraham Lincoln officially proclaimed the last Thursday of November as the day of celebration, a day of Thanksgiving. Obviously, the history of Thanksgiving is the history of controversy, because for the settlers, it became a day of joy and celebration. But for the Indians, Thanksgiving was a reminder of not celebration, but suffering and survival. Not complete survival, because based on some historians and some studies, over 50 million of the original people, the Indians on this land, were killed either by weapon, military weapon, or by the weapon of virus. So over 50 million, and there are some other studies that the number is even higher than this. They are talking about 100 million. So this is a very controversial issue, that millions of Indians, they died because of the virus. And today, different kind of virus is killing hundreds of thousands of people in this country and now millions in the world. I just checked last Wednesday, 2 days ago, 185,000 new cases in one day. Just unbelievable that in one day in this nation, 185,000 new cases of coronavirus. On the same single day on Wednesday, over 2,200 people died. So now, since the beginning of this virus till 2 days ago, the number of deaths reached to 262,000. 262,000 people died in this country because of this virus. So it is a Thanksgiving, but also it is a day of mourning. The hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salam, it says, "Kun fi sarra'i abdan shakura wa fi dharra'i abdan sabura." When there is happiness and health, be grateful. And when there is pain and problem, be patient and determined. So any of us who are still alive, still breathing, still healthy, still safe, still eating and drinking, still able to vote, still able to defend the liberty and democracy, if you are in this category, be grateful to God because of these gifts. And if anyone is suffering from corona, poverty, war, violence, hunger, disease, and other problems that people are suffering from in Yemen, in Syria, in Iraq, in Gaza, in Afghanistan, in Lebanon, in Iran, in Africa, in Asia, Central America, everywhere. That is patience and hope and determination and not to give up. Be hopeful and do your best to fight this virus in any way possible. So regardless of the history of Thanksgiving, brothers and sisters, we are talking about the concept of ash-shukr, ash-shakir, ash-shakur, al-mashkur, tashkurun, yashkurun, ushkuru. 75 times the Quran reminds us of being grateful. So appreciation is an obligation, a moral obligation. إِنَّهُ كَانَ عَبْدًا شَكُورًا, admiring Noah. Why Allah is admiring Noah? Because he was shakur, he was grateful. Allah is talking to Prophet Moses, Ya Musa, إِنِّي اسْتَفَيْتُكَ عَلَى النَّاسِ بِالرِّسَالَاتِ وَبِكَلَامِ فَخُذْ مَا آتَيْتُكَ وَكُنْ مِنَ الشَّاكِرِينَ. O Moses, I provided you with leadership, with revelation, with the power of leading and guiding people. Be grateful for these blessings. Allah is talking even to Prophet Muhammad, بَلِ اللَّهِ فَاعْبُدْ وَكُنْ مِنَ الشَّاكِرِينَ. Ya Muhammad, worship only Allah and be grateful for the responsibility and blessings. then Allah is talking to everyone, to all people, faithful or not faithful. وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Look, you have ears, you have eyes, you have soul, you have heart, you have feeling. Where is your appreciation? You can lose your eyes in a moment, you can lose your ears, you can lose your heart. Be grateful. سخر لكم ما في السماوات وما في الأرض سخر لكم الشمس والقمر سخر لكم الليل والنهار سخر لكم البحر لعلكم تشكرون. Allah gave the domination of this earth to you people. You have access even to other planets, other galaxies discovered for you. فَكُلُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَكُمُ اللَّهُ حَلَالًا طَيِّبًا وَاشْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ. You are in this position and you can enjoy it and you can eat and you can drink of halal and tayyiban, pure and right food. Where is your appreciation for this and many other blessings? وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تَحْصُوهَا. You cannot even count the blessing of God. Where is your gratitude that Allah said, إِنِّي جَاعِلُكُمْ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. You are Khalifatullah on the earth. God gave you the authority of being His representative of this earth. And He tells us, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. When you are grateful, you receive more blessings. وَمَنْ شَكَرَ فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرُ لِنَفْسِهِ. God does not need our appreciation. When we are showing the attitude of gratitude, that is for us. So what happened? That the majority of people are not grateful. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَذُو فَضْلٍ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَشْكُرُونَ. Majority of people, they ignore the grace of God and they are not grateful. اعملوا آل داوود شكرا وقليل من عبادي الشكور. O family of David, be grateful. But Allah knows that only a minority are grateful. So brothers and sisters, this is our moral obligation to be grateful. And we have to start this quality of gratitude from home, from relationship between husband and wife, relationship between children and parents. Allah said, "Anishkur li wa liwalidayk." Be grateful to God and grateful to your parents. Grateful to your teachers. As we are going through this crisis of corona, grateful to doctors, grateful to nurses, grateful to the farmers, grateful to those people who provide food, grateful to garbage collectors that they bring and clean the area from garbage, so we are not dying out of smelling and dirt. Be grateful to all people of integrity, whether they are in the government or universities, hospitals, businesses, law enforcement, city councils, city halls. In every area that there are people of service and sincerity and helpful to communities and country, we should say thank you, being grateful to them. The youth of this community and country, be grateful to the opportunities that you have. Don't lose and don't miss the opportunities, oh shabab, young girls and boys. This week I was reading this new book from Barack Obama. You know that this new book, A Promised Land, over 700 pages, big book. When you think about this book, and we think about the author, who is Barack Obama? His father, a Muslim, a black man from Kenya. That is the father. And who is him? A boy, a black boy, whose name is Barak, from Baraka, right? It's an Arabic name, Barak Hussein. That is his name. And then he was accused that when he was 5 years old, he was in madrasa. You remember after 9/11, the word madrasa means a place of terrorism. And they said even he was a Muslim himself. Until recently, Trump was saying that he was not even born in this country. He was forced to bring his birth certificate that says Barack was born in Bahama in 1961. Then he had to show even his marriage in a church, that I'm not a Muslim, though what is wrong if somebody is a Muslim to begin with, but that he was married by a Christian pastor in Trinity Church in Chicago. So all the pictures and photo of that ceremony were available. But then they said, look at his pastor. His pastor is like his pastor, that Reverend Wright. He was anti-America, he was anti-Israel, and he said America of KKK, he was against bombardment of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I mean, you see, this guy was bombed back and forth, left and right, all the way by so many politicians and so much in the media. But despite of all of this guy ended up to have the key for the White House for 8 years. This is the opportunity that we are talking about, and still we have part of it, because they are trying to kill any opportunity. So to deprive people like him, if somebody is Muslim, if somebody is black, African American. But you see, they can't. Even we saw in this recent election, and this is a lesson for the young generation, that if you study, if you have education, if you work hard, if you are dedicated, if you are determined, you can succeed. Don't waste your time. Be grateful of your time. Be grateful of the opportunities. You just need to be responsible. This is why I read just this morning, actually, I was reading an article that was written 2 days ago by Stephen Walt. And you can Google this article and read it by yourself, because it's a good article. He is saying that the top 5 reasons to still feel thankful about the world. He's saying, despite of all frustration, that there is war, there is poverty, there is corona, there is crisis. But for 5 reasons, He talks about that, fortunately, we didn't have world war, we have regional war, but with all this craziness, we could have that one. That is one reason to be hopeful. He says, look at the election, that is another reason to be grateful. Look at people of integrity in this country. Look at the importance of science, that science is working and now science is promising us of a vaccine for corona. And finally, number 5, he is talking about though corona closed the schools, but still we have tools and technology of learning through virtual ways that teacher and students, they can visit, and it still continues. So despite of the crisis, the darkness, disappointment, fear, frustration, brothers and sisters, still there is hope for healing. Although still we have 2 months left from this man in the White House, and we hope that something even more dangerous doesn't happen. We hope and we pray to the Almighty to save United States and to save the world in the next 2 months from a man that is sitting there and first of all he said that I don't accept. Somebody else voted for somebody else, and he said that I don't accept. I don't say qabiltu. He said I don't say qabiltu, right? Somebody else married with somebody else, and he says I'm not saying qabiltu. It's very interesting. We hope that the next 2 months be safe, because then we have Biden. He's 78 years old. Hopefully, at this age, he has some wisdom. And with that wisdom, he can heal. You remember that his vice president said Joe Biden is a healer. We are going to wait and watch and pray and outreach to make sure that he is going to be a healer, not a warmonger. Because now we see some signs that they are frightening. You know that now the president is pardoning people like Michael Flynn. He's very anti-Islam. This man was #1 in Islamophobia. And he was in jail because he lied not only to FBI, but to Congress. So instead of pardoning somebody who is really innocent, there are so many innocent in jails and in prison in the United States. So the president is not looking to find who is really innocent to forgive. He is pardoning Michael Flynn. And then the Justice Department is freeing this Mr. Plard, an Israeli spy, that he was in prison and then in the probation. Now they are ending his probation, then he can freely travel back to Israel. That means that they are saying that spying is bad, spying is haram, is awful. But if it is for Israel, go back home. We are not going to keep you here. Terrorism is terrible. But if Israelis do it, no problem. Occupation is bad, everything, injustice, oppression, all of this bad. But there is one country that is free. Nothing wrong, whatever they wish, whatever they dream. Now CNN, just a couple of hours ago, you heard the CNN and other media, they said that a top Iranian scientist was assassinated. He was in his car and he was at the top of a department in the defense ministry. They said his name, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh. And although a man of his position should be really lots of security, but the news said that one car, which was intihari, like a suicide car, stopped in front of his car, and then from the other car, the terrorists started shooting and they killed him. It's ironic that Netanyahu mentioned his name. He was the only one who was mentioned by Netanyahu. And Netanyahu at that time said that you are going to hear about him again. And it's amazing that just a few days after Netanyahu secretly went to Saudi Arabia and he met with bin Salman, now this is happening. So terrorism is bad, but if it was by like a Mossad, then no problem. That is now accusation. I don't have the details, but that is what we hear in the news. That's what the media are talking about. But regardless, terrorism is a cover things. Terrorism is a crime, doesn't matter who does it. We are against terrorism by anyone, against anyone. We are against warmongering. Because you cannot solve your problem with any country with terrorism. Terrorism cannot solve any problem. Even wars and violence cannot solve the problem. There is no winner in any war. Everybody is a loser when there is a war because people are going to lose. Now, one side may lose more, one side may lose less, but everybody is a loser. The problems of the world can be solved through dialogue, through diplomacy, through understanding. If you are looking for peace and prosperity, the key is not terrorism, the key is not war. The key is al-hiwar, dialogue, that brings peace in the world. The key is justice. The key is respect for human rights. It is not war, violence, and terrorism. So we pray and we hope that in the next 2 months of this administration, something worse and bigger doesn't happen. That they are looking for some attention because of all this failure and mess that is going on, to start a new war and a new problem for this country and for the Middle East countries. We pray for peace because the people of hell, those who khalidina fiha, nar jahannam, those residents of hell, they are looking for war and violence because they don't recognize the language of dialogue, peace, understanding, justice, and honor for human rights. And that is very dangerous. We pray to God to save all of us and to save the world from the crazy people who are looking for attention and they try to cover their failures by making war and terrorism. And we pray that we are able to raise our children and our community and generation as people of paradise. قال الصادق عليه السلام إن لأهل الجنة أربع علامات. If you want to know who are the people of paradise, they have 4 signs. وجه منبسط, smiling faces. واللسان لطيف, their tongue is smooth and their expressions are nice and kind. وَقَلْبٌ رَحِيمٌ, their hearts are healing and loving and merciful. وَيَدٌ مُعْطِيَةٌ, and their hands are generous. Because of this, I want to also thank you, brothers and sisters, and whoever that participated in fundraising of House of Wisdom in the last week, though still the gates of grace and generosity are open, and we can continue to support the services of this house, inshallah. Pray for all of you, and pray again for those who are suffering from this crisis, devil disease of coronavirus. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر وإلى الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
صلى الله على محمد وآل محمد.
استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. Thank you, Dr. Ajur. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أن عليا ولي الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير الأعمال حي على خير الأعمال. قد قامت الصلاة وقد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. سووا الصفوف مع التباعد الاجتماعي. And also silence your cell phone, please. إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين. قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله فاذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائما قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم احملنا في سفن نجاتك ومتعنا لذيذ مناجاتك وأوردنا حياذ حبك وودك وقربك. اللهم اجعلنا من المصارعين إلى الخيرات العاملين للباقيات الصالحات والساعين إلى رفيع الدرجات إنك على كل شيء قدير برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والسماء والطارق وما أدراك ما الطارق إن كل نفس لما عليها حافظ النجم الثاقب إن كل نفس لما عليها حافظ فلينظر الإنسان مما خلق خلق من ماء دافق يخرج من بين الصلب والترائب إنه على رجعه لقادر يوم تبلى السرائر فما له من قوة ولا ناصر والسماء ذات الرجع والأرض ذات الساد إنه لقول فاصل وما هو بالهزل إنهم يكيدون كيدا وأكيد كيدا فمهل الكافرين أمهلهم رويدا الله فمهلهم رويدا الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا ولي العافية أسألك العافية عافية الدنيا والآخرة يا أرحم الراحمين. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد يا من أرجوه لكل خير وأمن سخطه عند كل شر، يا من يعطي الكثير بالقليل، يا من يعطي من سأله، يا من يعطي من لم يسأله ومن لم يعرف، تحننا منه ورحمة. أعطني بمسألتي إياك جميع خير الدنيا وجميع خير الآخرة، واصرف عني بمسألتي إياك جميع شر الدنيا وجميع شر الآخرة، فإنه غير منقوص ما أعطيت، وزدني من فضلك يا كريم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام يا ذا المن والطول. حرم شيبتي على النار برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على تقبل Allah, inshallah. Just a couple of announcements. We have certain classes for the younger ones, the elementary and the middle and high school. And for more information, this is about the Quran and Aqaid and Tariq, history of Islam, belief system. Brother Ihsan Karimi, he has more information from Youth of Wisdom. You can get the details from him. This Sunday at 11 o'clock, our Facebook of House of Wisdom and some other networks airing a discussion that a few of us, Said Mohammad and Said Saleh Khazwini, myself, we are talking about family, about the youth, about kids, and that's a good discussion. You can watch it this Sunday at 11 o'clock, inshallah. Again, we pray for all those who are suffering from corona, and especially the brother that I mentioned. I didn't mention his name, the family didn't want me to mention his name, but he is suffering and in a very critical situation, and he asked for dua. Let us say Surah Al-Hamd لشفائه وشفاء كل المرضى بعد الصلوات على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله وأن عليا ولي الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة وقد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. صلاة العصر.